A town without memory is destined to be lost. With this phrase, we begin our tour of one of the most important historical sites in the state of Texas. My name is Emmanuel Alvarado, a student in the Texas government class, and today I present to you the El Paso Mission Trail, the history of the Isleta, Socorro, and San Elizario missions. 3 missions that have survived wars, floods, and migrations for over 3 centuries, and which to this day remain the cultural heart of the Lower Valley. The El Paso Mission Trail comprises the missions located in Isleta, Socorro, and San Elizario, making it one of the oldest and most significant historical routes in the Southwestern. Its origins date back to the colonial era, when the Spanish ruled over the territories of the Rio Grande and the indigenous Mexicans, who adopted the Catholic religion brought by the colonizers. These missions, which were established over time, functioned not only as religious centers, but also as social, economic, and cultural hubs that united the peoples of the region throughout history. As historian Campbell explains, the mission churches are the symbolic heart of the traditional community. Campbell 14. This confirms how this space continues to be an essential point of unity and culture for the residents and generations who have built their identity around this region, demonstrating that its importance goes beyond the architectural and that the mission truly functions as a living link of unity and culture between the past and present of the 2 neighboring countries, Mexico and the United States. The origins of the El Paso Mission Trail date back to 1682, when the first Hispanic settlements were established in the territory that is now the state of Texas. The missions of Isleta and Socorro were established in the same year by Spanish colonists and indigenous groups who were displaced from New Mexico. Robert E. Wright explains, the first permanent Hispanic settlements in Texas developed from the Indian mission villages of Isleta and Socorro, which were established in the El Paso district in 1682. The Isleta mission was founded primarily by the Tiguapiro people, who fled New Mexico after the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, settling and founding their mission in the Isleta region. Sadly, in 1907, almost 2 centuries later, it was destroyed by a terrible fire. It was soon rebuilt and resumed operation. In fact, it is the oldest mission still in use in the entire state of Texas. The Socorro mission, although its structure was created in the same year as the Isleta mission, was not formally registered until 1691. Almost 10 years later, this mission was founded primarily by the indigenous Piro, Tano, and Jemez peoples, who were also fleeing the 1680 Pueblo Revolt. Sadly, this relief mission has undergone several reconstructions throughout its history due to the flood caused by the Rio Grande. Like all the others, it remains operational. During the following centuries, these communities evolved into cultural and religious centers, alongside the communities that comprised them. Over time, these villages became increasingly Hispanicized and Catholic, due both to the assimilation of Native Americans and the settlement of Hispanics within these communities. Later, the 3rd mission, San Elizario, was created and founded, which further strengthened the region, serving both as a military presidio and a religious center. Since in 1789, San Elizario had its own Franciscan chaplain, Rite 19. Together, these 3 missions laid the foundation for life, culture, traditions, and religion in the region that would eventually become El Paso, shaping and giving the region its identity for centuries to come. The missions of Isleta, Socorro, and San Elizario had a profound and enduring impact on the communities of the El Paso Valley. As we have seen, these spaces not only functioned as religious centers, but also served as community gathering places, where families organized themselves, preserved their traditions, and strengthened their bonds through mutual support. Since colonial times, these missions have helped shape the valley's collective identity, creating communities and neighborhoods around them that were firmly united by Mexican culture and Spanish Catholic heritage. As Robert E. Wright points out, the county was strongly Mexican in population, with Catholic churches established at Isleta, Socorro, and San Elizario since Spanish colonial times, 89. This helps us understand that the missions were the center from which it all began, that is, the site of the first settlements, serving as both an architectural and social structure for the thousands of families who lived and worked in the region. Furthermore, these missions provided direct social support, especially for Mexican migrants arriving in El Paso during the 19th and 20th centuries. Mario Garcia explains that Catholicism provided a familiar cultural environment as well as institutional support for their adjustment north of the border. 213. The missions offered not only Mass, but also education, support networks, cultural festivities, community services, and a sense of belonging for those facing a new life after crossing the border. The community impact of these missions is undoubtedly reflected today. For example, in the preservation of the language, the continuity of traditions, the unity of the communities of Isleta, Socorro, and San Elizario, and in how these spaces continue to promote culture, tourism, and above all, local pride in El Paso to this day. Without a doubt, since their founding in the 17th century, the missions had positive effects on the regions where they were located. First, the missions changed and redefined the cultural identity of the region. Indigenous peoples such as the Piro, Tano, and Jemez, who arrived after the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, settled around these missions and gradually adopted a blend of Spanish and indigenous customs. This gave rise to a mixed-race identity that is still evident in the traditions, celebrations, language, and religious practices of the Lower Valley. Isleta, for example, is one of the strongest communities in the region, where the indigenous Tigua identity remains alive, thanks in part to the historical structure created by the Isleta mission. Furthermore, the missions had a significant impact on the local and regional economy. They were centers of agriculture, livestock farming, and informal trade, gradually introducing new crops, irrigation systems, and work practices from European settlers. This economic model helped shape the first towns in the valley. Even today, the Mission Trail continues to attract tourists, generating income for local businesses and markets through cultural events such as festivals and patron saint celebrations. Politically and socially, the missions played a significant role in shaping the current neighborhoods and settlements. Many communities, such as Isleta del Sur Pueblo, the historic center of Socorro, and the San Elizario district, remain centrally located, with life in these regions growing around the missions. Another example is their plazas and streets, which are seen as cultural and historical centers for future generations and have endured for 3 centuries to this day. The Mission Trail has become a symbol of local pride for all residents of the region, connecting them to their indigenous, Spanish, and mixed heritage. These cultural corridors undoubtedly attract visitors, support local artisans and businesses, and preserve the historical memory of El Paso. This concludes our exploration of the history and great importance of these missions, as they are not only churches and old structures, but also a wealth of living stories of great value that show us our true roots, traditions, and culture, since these missions will always be a bridge that connects our past and our present world.